everybody, I'm Wilma Fingerdoo, and this is This Week in Drag. Here at home on Canada's Drag Race Season 3, Episode 2, Brad Gorski's mini-challenge for the Queens involved them redesigning personalized Mighty Tux hockey jerseys into new uniforms, all while getting ready in quick drag. One by one, the Queens paraded their uniforms in front of Brad. Once he had seen all the uniforms, Brad declared Chalazon LaRue the winner, which gave her an edge for the Maxi Challenge. The Queens would be presenting awards at the Who Knows, a play on Canada's music awards, the Junos, and Chalazon got to pick the teams. Chalazon picked Giselle Lullaby for herself. She put Kimmy with Winalicious, which Winalicious thought was a setup, forcing the pretty girls to be funny. She seemed to get over herself when Brad told them they would be presenting the Best All-Dressed Award, aka Best Dressed. That felt correct. Jada and Mosu seemed excited to be presenting the Frostiest Queen Award. Since Vivian was giving Chalazon the Team Me Up with Irma eyes, Chalazon did, and they would be presenting the Lifetime Achievement in Delusion Award, gleefully. That left Lady Boom Boom, Chaos, and Bombay feeling like leftovers. Regardless, Brad told them that they would be presenting the Busiest Beaver Award. Reporters are still waiting to hear if that improved their mood. As the Queens got down to work, Team Kimmy-licious got down to sniping at each other. I loved Kimmy saying, "I can make it funny," and Lish saying, "Can you make it funny now?" And then it was time for the Who Knows. Up first, Team Chaos Bomb Boom to present the Busiest Beaver Award. I thought they did a good job. I've certainly seen worse on more popular award shows. The winner was Jada Shada Hudson. Bless. The funniest thing about Chalazon and Giselle's presentation was them looking for the screen with the nominees' names on it that didn't exist. And the award to Best Cara Booty went to, well, surprise, surprise, Chaos. Mosu and Jada Shada were next to present the award for the Frostiest Queen, but to tell you the truth, they got a pretty frosty reaction from the audience with their material, or lack thereof. The actual award for Frostiest Queen went to Chalazon LaRue, who was hilarious accepting it. Well, she was at least funnier than those two, I'm just gonna say. Team Kimmy-licious took the stage to present the award for the Best All Dress, and I have to say, I thought they were the best of the night. Here's the Team Kimmy-licious. Seriously. What do you mean I can't drink? And here's the Boom Boom's acceptance speech from the floor. Not a sip. Finally, Irma Gerd and Vivian Vanderpuss did a good job presenting the award for Lifetime Achievement in Delusion, which went to Miss Delusionalicious. Of course it did. This week's runway category was Goddess of the Ancient World. Chaos was first, representing Marzana, the Goddess of Winter. I give this runway a Fingerdoo, but I want to see Chaos do a softer glam makeup. Just me? Bombay stomped that runway as a traditional Kathakali dancer celebrating the goddess Shikandi. Fingerdoo for Bay, seriously. Lady Boom Boom was Cupid, and as cute as she was, I was in love with her wig. Fingerdoo for Boom Boom. Miss Mosu was Atagina, the goddess of the underworld, and I thought she looked gorgeous enough for a Fingerdoo. And Jada Shada was the African goddess, Miss Mami Wata, who is half snake and half fish. Full Fingerdoo for Miss Hudson. Chalazon LaRue took my breath away. Although the dress was simple, it applied itself to the First Nations creation story of Sky Woman. I thought this was a stunning runway, and I had no trouble giving Chalazon a Fingerdoo. Seriously. Giselle Lullaby put the rest of the queens to shame with her Goddess of the Forest runway. From her cloven hoof shoes to the flowers growing out of her shoulders. This look didn't just deserve a Fingerdoo, it was worthy of a Fingerdoo. Seriously. Kimmy Couture said she was serving Goddess of the Sun, but I thought she was giving the midnight show at the Sands. Not that she didn't look good, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Show Off Alicious as Ocean, the Goddess of Beauty and Vanity, was stunning. Too bad no one likes her. Fingerdoo for Lish. Vivian Vanderpuss was the Norse goddess Freya. This was another fabulous runway that must have cost somebody a pretty penny, so I totally gave it a Fingerdoo, seriously. Last but not least was Irma Gerd as Discordia, the Roman goddess of chaos. This wasn't just a fabulous look, but I thought Irma's makeup was stunning too. Fingerdoo for Irma. And then it was announced that Lady Boom Boom, Bombay, Giselle Lullaby, Vivian Vanderpuss, and Chaos were all safe. Back in the Untucked Lounge, Flip-Flop-alicious confronted Chelazon on her shady pairing of her and Kimmy. Apparently there was winking. Then, Vapidlicious went off on how all the funny queens failed the comedy challenge and she and Kimmy, the pretty queen, succeeded. In other news, the other queens still don't like her. Back on the main stage, Brooklyn announced that this week's winner was Kimmy Couture and that the bottom two queens were Miss Moso and Jada Shada Hudson. Bless. They had to lip sync to Rough Trade's High School Confidential. This is such a great song, but when the music died, it was Jada Shada Hudson who chanted, and it was Miss Moso who became the second queen to sashay away. Canada's Drag Race airs on Thursday nights. Check your local listings. And now, across the pond and over the channel on Drag Race France Season 1, Episode 5, Nikki had, well, jumped on the mullet train and embraced one of history's worst hairstyles by sporting some extensions or a wig. I'm sorry, it was just too ugly to look at. But the suit, on the other hand, was exquisite. For the mini challenge, the queens would be doing each other's makeup while wearing sight-distorting glasses, and for added fun, to help with the judging, Nikki had invited French YouTube celebrity Antonin to give them all a hand. GD and Soa teamed up with GD donning the Les Lunettes de Disco while painting Soa's visage. It was not good. Lolita Banana, beat Ellipse's mug. I would have pressed charges. And finally, Paloma prettied up Bertha as, well, best she could. So, when the beauty shop banter had come to an end, Nikki and Antonin declared Soa and GD to be the mini challenge winners. Bless. Guess they're just the best of a bad bunch. And then it was time for this week's Maxi Challenge. Girl groups. The queens would have to split into two groups of three, write their own verse to the song Boom Boom, learn choreo, and come up with a name for the group. Because Soa and GD had won the mini, they would each be team captains and one by one had to pick their group. Soa picked Ellipse first, then Lolita for her dancing. GD grabbed Bertha and then got Paloma because, well, she was last. But Bertha and GD weren't mad at it. In other news, Bertha was worried about being in a girl group with two look queens. Based on her wardrobe, I would be too. Because Soa got the first pick of bandmates, GD got to pick which version of the song her group was recording, the pop version or the rock version. After giving both versions a listen, GD picked the pop version for her group, which left the rock version for Soa's. In other news, she was okay with that. Seriously. Nikki stopped by to check on the queens. Bertha seemed to be going heavy-handed for a pop song where her lyrics were concerned, but then it sounded like the whole group was leaning that way. And for some reason, they named themselves Les Sœurs Jaquettes, or the Jacket Sisters. I still don't get it. Soa's team had called themselves the Nails, which Nikki seemed to approve of. She also approved of the autobiographical tilt the Nails were taking with their lyrics and how they transformed their flaws into strengths. I mean, what's more rock and roll than that? The queens recorded their lyrics with Mark Weld and everyone's new boyfriend, Taj. In other news, I felt bad that no one was flirting with Mark, bless. He was such a good producer. Recording went well enough for the Jacket Sisters. Paloma needed to work on her diction, which was less exciting once they told her what that meant. Bertha could actually sing, which was fabulous because GD seemed to have issues. Her hurdle was coming in on the right beat for her lyric. Thankfully, she got there. As for the Nails, their recording session went very well. Mark Weld gave them excellent direction and Taj smiled at everyone. All in all, it went very well. As the queens got ready for the runway, they all talked about their biological families. Lolita talked about how her parents worry for her being on the other side of the world, and then she told the queens that she's HIV positive, something she's told her family already, and that adds to their worry for her being alone in another country. I have to say, I love that Lolita wanted to present a healthy, vibrant face to being HIV positive. Here's to Lolita. Really? Not even for that? Another thing I appreciated about her talking about her status is that it reminds people that AIDS still doesn't have a cure. So listen to your Auntie Wilma. Wrap it up. Seriously. And then it was time for the main stage and the debut of Boom Boom. The Jacket Sisters were first, and I have to say I was impressed. I thought Bertha looked a little out of place off the top, as she seemed to be wearing the most clothes, but, well, she ditched most of them, and that seemed to help. The Nails were next, and I'm just going to go ahead and say they stole the show. Their looks were cohesive, their lyrics were fun, and they got off the stage and had fun with the judges. All in all, it was a fantastic show. Seriously, check out that finishing pose. Fabulous. And then it was time for the runway. Category is Night of 1,000 Malines. In other news, Mylène Farmer is a French-Canadian singer, songwriter, and one of the top-selling musical acts in France. Stuck on that, Celine Dion. Lolita was first in a jarring look that had her dripping red everywhere. She wore this in honor of the fundraising and support Mylène has given the AIDS Foundation. It was a powerful runway that totally got a Fingerdoo for me, seriously. Ellipse was rocking a Mylène look from the 80s that totally took me back. Those shoulder pads alone were worth a Fingerdoo, I'm just saying. La Grande Dame stepped out onto the runway in a black and white cover-up, which she ditched to reveal the most stunning velvet lace-up dress I've ever seen. A copy of something by Jean-Paul Gaultier that Mylène wore on the red carpet once upon a time. Who cares? Fingerdoo for GD. It's stunning. Soa wore a red coat dress with bishop sleeves and the words F them all on the back, and then she removed it to reveal a Fifth Element looking two-piece. Fingerdoo for Soa. Paloma looked stunning in a long black coat, which she removed to reveal a white gossamer gown that was nothing without that big fan. In other news, Big Fan was my drag queen name in high school. Bertha took a look from Mylène's 2013 Timeless tour. I thought this was an excellent copy of the original look, so I gave her a Fingerdoo, seriously. When the judges finished deliberating, it was Soa who was this week's winner, and rightly so. As for the queens who landed in the bottom, it was this week's Shrinking Violets, Ellipse, and Paloma. They had to lip-sync to Mylène Farmer's Libertine. In other news, here in Canada, we weren't allowed to hear the French-Canadian song. Go figure. But, from what I could tell, neither queen made this easier for the other. Ellipse worked the hell out of that 80s suit, while Paloma worked the hell out of the judges with all her sexiness. But, when the music died, Nikki announced that Paloma shantaed, and it was Ellipse who sadly became the fifth queen to sashay away. I'm gonna miss her, seriously. Drag Race France airs on Thursdays. Check your local listings. Closer to home on All Star 7, All Winners Edition, Episode 11, the last challenge of the season was a charity variety extravaganza with the winning queen receiving $30,000 to give to a charity of their choice. The queens would also be taking part in a tic-tac chit-chat with Rue and Michelle. But, most importantly of all, Rue told the queens that this week's challenge would be worth 3 legendary legend stars. No one was happier to hear that than Miss Shea Coulee. Seriously. The Tic Tac lunches went as you'd expect. Trinity talked about her Southern pride because of how she turned out. Vivi's chat touched on her difficulties competing as a foreigner and the fact that she's been a fan of most of the queens before she herself won Drag Race UK. So there was some fangirling to get over. Seriously. Monet chatted about how touring the world and meeting people who just want to express themselves has changed her and her drag. Evie talked about her struggle with Ehlers-Danlos and how she's aware she's losing some of her basic physical skills. Needless to say, it was an emotional tic-tac chat. Shea Coulee chatted about how she more or less accepted defeat and was ready to support the other queens before the 3 legendary legend star boost was revealed. Bless. Raja talked about how she still had her original tic-tac lunch tic-tac at home and how proud her dad was for her winning season 3. Jinx chatted about how she'd come to the race to do her very best and about being sober for 2 years. Here's the Jinx. Jada's chat was about how she's living her life for herself now and not avoiding the pants covered in stars because someone would say she looks gay in them. Good for Jada. Seriously. And then it was time for the charity variety extravaganza. Now, this whole talent show being worth 3 legendary legend stars came off as a little suspicious. Just when Shea needed a Hail Mary, there it is. But There were 4 lip sync acts, including Shay's, and although they all had wow moments or finishing moves, Trinity's sweet tea bath, Evie's misdirection off the top with the trunk, or Jada's, well, face. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd pay money to watch any of those queens lip sync on stage, but of the 4 performances, Shay's was the one I remember the most. So I have no problem at all with Rue picking her for top 2. Vivian sang live, so she really couldn't dance it out like she could have. And as colorful and exotic as Raja's Balinese dance was, it lacked that certain something to push it over the edge for me. Monet and Jinx both killed it singing live, but Monet's operatic number was a huge surprise. No one expected her to sing like that. Jinx, on the other hand, well, that could just be her getting out of bed. So I agree that Monet should have eked Jinx out of the win, but they're both in the finale, along with Shay. Jada and Trinity tied for 4th place, and because she now had the most legendary legend stars, Monet was the tiebreaker, and true to her word, she made good on her promise by picking Trinity. Then Monet and Shay lip sync for their legacy, $10,000 and an additional $30,000 for the charity of their choice. They lip sync to Supernova by Kylie Minogue, and I have to say, Shay and Monet are 2 of the better dancers in the cast, so I was expecting a lot from this lip sync, and I wasn't disappointed. My favorite parts were when they both actually started lip syncing in tandem purely by accident. While they both did an excellent job, I thought Monet took a more languid approach to the song, where Shay seemed to tear it up a bit more. So I wasn't surprised that it was Shea Coulee who won the lip sync. And she won $30,000 for the charity of her choice, Period Poverty Project. Well done to everybody, seriously. Then Rue had a surprise for the 4 queens who didn't make it to the finale. They would be lip syncing in their own lip sync Lollapalooza SmackDown for a cash prize of $50,000 and the title of the Queen of She Done Already Done Had Hers is. Needless to say, the queens were gagged. Next week on All Stars 7 All Winners Edition, it's the finale. The queens will be taking part in 2 lip sync SmackDowns. 8 queens enter, 2 queens leave. Who are you rooting for? RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 7 All Winners Edition airs Friday nights. Check your local listings. And before you go, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and check out the links in my description box, you heard me, for ways you can support this channel. Until next week, that was This Week in Drag. I hope you were too. Seriously.